Henry, thank God you're one of the few people who escaped the war. There were 1 million Jews that were murdered in Auschwitz. And you are one of the million that made it out. Today you're sitting here speaking to us. Baruch Hashem, you're 92 years old. What would you say to people who are going to be commemorating the Shoah in 2 days? Is Yom Hashoah. And what do you have to say to all the young generation? You keep Torah mitzvot, you do Shabbat, Henry. It's amazing. And a lot of people are not like you. A lot of people who made it out of the Holocaust don't have the same life motto.
You have a good wife.
My wife is the best,
What in you gives you this love for life, the faith for Torah?
It's my life for nice Jewish people. Because I believe people. I believe a Jewish person should act like a Jewish person. A Jewish person should be nice, should have feeling for sick people, should help if there's help needed, That's what I believe, My father was that way, my mother especially. I couldn't do anything else, My mother didn't make Shabbos till she knew somebody or some people in town didn't have a holly or a herring for Shabbos.
What keeps your faith going is your love for other Jews, the way your mom treated Jews, the way your mom looked out for Jews that didn't have as much as she did, and for that reason you feel the need to help those around you and doing mitzvahs.
Because that's what a Jewish man should do all his life. For the guy from Hollywood, he was there with 3 women, with all kinds of things, He was with me maybe 4 hours. I gave him my whole testimony. Then I was younger and I remembered a lot of things which I don't remember now.
How many Jews were you guys? How many men?
Men about 100, 150 men. But there were a lot of women. The men were guarded by only 2 SS. But the women had a lot of SS.
So it was 100 men.
But we were together.
100 men.
Yes.
Guarded by 2 SS.
Right.
Only 2.
Only 2.
Mm-hmm. Did you think of doing something?
No, we were not thinking. We were hungry. Now we were very weak. And the women were there too. So I figured maybe we're going to help the women later on. All the people in my group couldn't walk. They didn't eat. They were hungry. So they backed up. They couldn't keep up. So one of the assessmen shot one older Jewish man. So I said to him, "Why did you do that?" So he says, "You're not going to live too long anyway." He told me that. So I said, "I'll tell you something. You're going to be dead too." I told him then. I says, "I don't care. Let him shoot me." There was a big stone barn and a big regular barn. So all the men and the women, they put the big barn, and all the SS were in the stone barn. Early in the morning, we take a look outside the barn, and we see 3 tanks. We never seen Russian tanks, or Russian people. 3 tanks with the guns right on the barn. So the girls ran out. They knew they were from Kovno, from Vilna. They knew Russians because Russia was there. The Russians were hugging them, and then we know we're liberated. But they caught all the SS there, and they shot them all right in front of us. So the Russians told us that they cannot stay too long there because they can be pushed back by the German army. That's why in February. The war finished a year later.
This was February 1944.
And the war finished in 45.
May of 45.
Right. So the Russians said, you grab from the Germans their wagons and their horses and go as far as you can. So we were about 4 or 6 people, and we took 2 girls with us too, And we were driving. We didn't know the area. So we were driving like 2 weeks and we came back to the same place. We didn't know where we are. We were in Prussia, but we didn't know where we're going. The Russians said to us, one of us are going to go with you. We're going to lead you out from the area. And he told the Germans who lived there, if any of you will touch any of them, we counted them all. We know how many girls, how many men they are. If anything is going to happen to them, we're going to come back here, we're going to kill all of you. The Russians said that. In fact, they killed one boy. It was a 12-year-old boy from Kovno. Went in there for bread. We were hungry too. Somehow he never came out. So we went to the Russian and we told them what transpired. We told them a boy went into one of these homes. There was a little town, a German town, and he went in there and never came out. The Russians, they came and they killed a lot of them, a lot of the Germans. They didn't even ask who. They killed a lot of Germans, and they said to them, if anything happens to them, if you try anything, they all will be killed, because we're here. So we got wagons now with horses. We took away from the Germans, but we didn't know where we're going. The Germans are still around everywhere. They're going to kill us. But I was the big hero. I went on a horse, and I went ahead of them, and I checked the road. I looked. The highway was high, and the buildings were lower. And I see if there's any soldiers, German soldiers. And I found out that everything is okay. So I told the wagon with the women and the men, just keep going. So we go in like 2 weeks, and we came to a point where it was already safe, and we stayed there. A lot of stores, but they were all closed. The Germans were gone. So Russians came down with tanks, and they told us, go into any store you want, take what you want. Nobody's going to stop you. But we didn't go. What can we take? I said, the women went in, they had no stockings, so they took some clothes, but we didn't take anything. I had the same jacket that I have. The pants were too big on me anyway. אם אין אני לי מילי, אם לא אני לעצמי, אם לא עכשיו, אימתי.
Can you please translate what you just said?
The Hebrew word into English?
Yes.
It wouldn't come out so good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this gift, and I promise to keep it dear to me and to always remember you and Irene and your story. And to finish off, you were telling us about how when the war was over, you came back to your city of Ripien.
Right.
Ripien, which was in Poland. You came back to Poland, and you brought back with you 2 Jewish girls that you stole basically from the hospital because they were going to get killed, and you brought them back with you to Ripien.
The 2 girls I brought with me home, one from Romania and one from Vilna, and I couldn't get into my parents' house, and I had no other place where to put them. But I had a Polish woman who used to clean our house before the war. I told her, look, I just came from concentration camp, and I brought those 2 girls with me. I have no place where to put them. The Jews were killed, so she lived in their apartment. I says, you take them in only to sleep. I'll take care of them as far as food goes. Let them stay a few nights till I get settled here, then I'll take them out. And I thank her very, very much. In fact, one of them, I can tell you quickly, she wanted me to marry her, and I didn't want to get married. I was then still young. But I told her there was a man there who came to our town from Israel, came to see his parents. The war broke out. He couldn't go back to Israel. But somehow he survived. So I said to the girl from Vilna, you're staying here with me. No good future right now. I said, marry this guy, and he'll be very happy to marry you. She was much younger than him. He'll take you to Israel, you build a family, and I was right. When I came the first time to Israel, they lived in Holon, and she already had a son. There's one very important thing I didn't say.
When you were doing the march.
Right. With the Germans, they shot a man, a Jewish man, and I told him then, the war was not over, I says, why did you shoot him? He says, because he couldn't walk. I said, look, if I survive this war and I find you, you'll be the first one to be shot. To the assessment, I said, I dare to say that, but he could shoot me too, you know. But I didn't care. But I told him one thing. I said, look, what you did is a bad thing, but I want you to know something. He's a Jewish person, and I want to bury a man. I don't want them to throw him on a fire somewhere. I want to bury the man and say Kaddish. So that'll be my greatest thing in my life. That I buried a Jewish man, which was like to them like nothing. I buried the man and I said Kaddish, It's not the right place to be buried, but it's better than they're going to throw him into the forest somewhere. But that's going to happen to me. It's God's will. God is up there, and He wants somebody to die. He will die.
But what happened with the Ukrainian man who killed your father?
The guy who shot my father and 3 other Jews and a Polish guy, he was the head of the police there. They were all in the same grave. The first thing I did when I came home, I opened up the grave. But I knew more or less, because I followed that wagon.
5 years before. This was now 5 years later after the war.
Right. I went out there to that forest. I knew more or less where he shot them. I opened up a few places. There were no deaths there. But I opened up this place, and there were 4 heads. There was my father, 3 other Jews, and a Polish policeman were all shot in the same grave. My friend who came after me, he was the head of the secret police.
Commissioning.
I said, loser, that's one thing you got to do for me. This Ukrainian has to be dead. He killed 4 Jews and 1 Polish guy.
He killed your father.
My father and 3 other Jews and a Polish guy. He cannot live anymore. So he says, don't worry about it. When the time comes, I'll call you. When time came, he says, come to my office. You will watch the hanging. I came and he hanged him right in his office.
And you watched the Ukrainian man who killed your father be hung 5 years later.
Right. And I said, that's the greatest mitzvah in the world, and God should pay you for it. My mother was shot somewhere else. There was a Jewish town, it's called Massacre. I don't know if you ever heard it. And I don't know where she was buried. A lot of people were killed there, you know. Massacre was always, for years, for generations, was a Jewish town.
Henry, I want you to know that everything that you told us today will only help young Jews like myself, my family, and my friends to grow and build and appreciate, not only appreciate life, but appreciate being Jewish and being healthy and being here today. So I thank you, Henry, and I hope that Bezrat Hashem, we can meet again and we can dance together at my wedding. God willing, Henry.
And I wish you Chaim Aruchim, long life.
And long life to you, Henry.
Okay.
Thank you. And I want you to know, Henry, that this video will remain here forever. And people will always see us, and people will always learn from this. And I thank you, and I wish you a long life, Henry. Arichut Yamim, Ad 120, a long life, only in health and happiness with Irene.
This is something that you're going to see, you're going to show to your friend, I'm sure, to your family.
Henry, just to end off and to really conclude the interview today, what would you say to all the people, all the young people like myself and my friends that are growing, what would you tell us is your best advice to commemorate Yom HaShoah, and obviously to never forget the Holocaust and to always stand by the words, never again? What would you say to us?
I would say, I'll tell you what I would say, and I always meant that to say that, you know. Any young girl or any young man, go back to Israel and help Israel to be strong and to grow and to do and help all the Jews who cannot be helped.
Good.